All right, friends, welcome back to Prepping with Sarge. Recently, one of my YouTube friends, Move with Jen, had asked the question of do I have any videos about how to get started with, precious metals and buying precious metals? And I hadn't, so I thought that was a fantastic idea. I'm also going to put a link down to Move with Jen's YouTube channel. Go check her out. She's been a really good YouTube friend. She's always supportive of other channels. She does a lot of videos about yoga, fitness, stretching, high intensity, it's stuff you can do without a lot of equipment. So, what's going on with this country right now with social distancing, and then sometimes there's just not a lot to do. So she's got some great stuff for you to try. But first, stay with me now. All right, thank you so much for staying with me. So I'm going to show you some of the different ways that a person can get started with precious metals and how to buy them. Before I get into that next little segment here, I don't talk too much about the ETFs, the precious metals ETFs and the mining companies that you can invest in. And that's certainly an option for somebody who wants to kind of stay in the realm of Robinhood trading or throwing something in your IRA. It is going to give you some diversification into precious metals. However, I will tell you that most people in the precious metals community and also in the prepping community would tell you that we recommend that you actually get physical bullion, right? Because if it's not in your hand, it's not real money. That's kind of the thinking in terms of precious metals, right? One of the biggest advantages with precious metals versus say like stocks is you have it in your hand, you hold it. It is physical, it is a tangible asset. And if the reason the preppers like it so much is that if things got really bad, as they have in other countries, like you can read Furfell's book about the economic collapse in Argentina. This kind of stuff is still currency, while your paper fiat stuff may not be tangible. Now that may seem like a far off scenario, that may seem unrealistic, but who knows? I mean, look what 2020 has brought to us, and the amount of like spending and printing that's going on with the fiat currency. There eventually is a price to pay for that. Eventually you deflate the value of the fiat currency so much that it can spiral out of control. Like, there are a lot of tools that the government and the Fed can do to keep that from spiraling out of control, but eventually there is the possibility, and it's happened in other nations, that they can lose that control. It gets beyond their ability to interfere and intervene, and what you get is hyperinflation. I know that's really complicated. That's not really where we're going today, but since we're talking about how to get started in precious metals, and the idea that most people in the precious metals community are going to tell you is, yes, you can do ETFs. Yes, you can invest in mining companies, but one of the biggest advantages of precious metals is the tangible asset, okay? All right, so let's go on to the next segment. All right, so the first and probably the most preferable option when you're starting out is to find a coin shop in your city. So I don't know which city you are in, Jen, or anybody else that's watching this, so I'm going to give you, I live in Charleston, and this is the Charleston Coin Exchange shop. So go to see, most of them will have a website. You can go and check it out, see what some of the stuff they have there is. And the benefit of this is, number one, if you're new to getting into precious metals, you want to start to establish a relationship with the dealer in your area. So that means, going in once or twice a month and kind of asking them what they've got that's new, and just talking to them a little bit, building that relationship. Because if you want to sell down the road, if you're flipping silver, you want to have that relationship, and you're probably going to get a little bit better deal when you're selling back. And the more you buy from these coin shops in general, the better deal you're going to get. They'll cut a little bit off here and there. You can start to negotiate with them a little bit, but don't take advantage of them. They're in business, right? We want them to stay in business, so we have to, treat them fair, just like we want to be treated fair. The other advantage of going to your local coin shop is that you start to learn more. Like, you're almost guaranteed to meet other people there that like to talk about precious metals, and so you'll learn as you're going. I personally do not use websites like Let Go. If you do this, I would recommend that you. So, as I'm looking here, I just did a search for silvercoins in Charleston area. Stuff's going to come up, and those are not terrible prices considering how inflated the market is right now. What I would recommend is, if you're going to do something like this, to meet in a public place, like inside of a coffee shop or something like that. Maybe even take a friend with you that's kind of not necessarily sitting with you, but sitting far away. You know, these websites, 99.99999% of the time, it's going to be a good transaction. But if you're meeting a stranger for the first time, it does make sense to just be safe, right? And the same thing with Craigslist, you know, that 99999, I made that number up, of course, but you know, this is just a quick search for silver coins in my area. And, you know, I'm not going to open up all these, but just to kind of give you an idea, right, of what's out there. If you're going to meet a stranger that you've never met before, again, I recommend you go to a public place, maybe even take a friend with you. Okay, another option, of course, is eBay. When I started getting into precious metals, was doing a lot of my coin purchasing through eBay. What I would recommend to you, if you're new to precious metals, don't go there first, okay? There's absolutely can be some good transactions through eBay, but I overpaid because I didn't really know what I was doing when I started out. So I would say save this for later on, when you actually know what a fair price is, and you know what to look for, and you know how to check a seller's ratings and that kind of thing. Now, if you do have a good transaction, I would recommend you go back and give that seller a good rating, because there is, you know, this kind of transaction is very much dependent on the reputation of the buyer and seller. Okay, so my recommendation is don't go to eBay first when you're starting. I made that mistake and I overpaid for a lot of coins. Okay, and last recommendation here is that a good reputable website like JM Bullion, and that's the one I'm going to talk about today. There are other good ones, but I'm just going to talk about JM Bullion today because I use them a lot and I've always had good transactions with them. I've always gotten exactly what I want, and the shipping is good. Their price is usually, you know, their premium price is usually what I would consider most of the time fair to the silver ask price, which you can see at the top there towards the center of the screen, the silver ask price. That's spot price, basically, is what it is. And when the market is not like ridiculously on fire like it is right now, a fair price is usually 20% above what you see there for an ounce of silver. Right now, the market is on fire, so you're probably going to see on your premiums a little bit higher than that 20% above spot. I hope that makes sense. But this is also a good way. This JM Bullion or one of the very reputable websites is also a very good way to start out when you're getting started with precious metals. You're going to get a pretty fair price here. You're going to get good shipping. You know, this business banks on their reputation, so they, you know, you're going to get what you asked for. You can see they've got over 250,000 customer reviews there. I personally will say that I've used JM Bullion for a lot of transactions and I've always been satisfied with them. I'm happy to recommend them. If that ever changes, if I ever have a bad experience with them, I promise people that I will go on YouTube and I'll say, you know, this is what happened and I'm not going to go back to JM Bullion, but I can't say that. All right, everybody, I hope that's helpful. Please, you know, if you have any questions, feel free to question down below in the comments section. In fact, if you haven't already done so, please go ahead and drop me a like. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I drop videos twice a week, and I also love to return the support to my fellow small YouTubers out there. So if you've got a small YouTube channel, you want me to check it out, just tell me a little bit about it down in the comments section below. Also, please remember to go ahead and check out Move with Jen and her channel down. I'll put a link to that down below. She's been a great YouTube friend to me, so I would love to send some of my viewers over there. That's about it for today. Keep planting your seeds, keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.